Hello and welcome to another F1 Fantasy video with me, Tom, and in this video I'm going to be talking through the new announcement that F1 Fantasy is finally coming back. We've all been waiting for weeks and weeks, wondering when on earth there's going to be an announcement or a release, and now we've finally got some nice chunky information that's just dropped today. So I'm going to go through the article and just give my initial thoughts on it. There's unfortunately no price reveals at the moment, but hopefully maybe over the next week or so maybe we'll get some price reveals. If not, then the game is officially dropping on the 27th of February, so that's next Monday. I'll definitely be doing a live stream as soon as it drops, basically. So yeah, come join me for that. But in the meantime, let's have a look through the changes because there's some interesting ones to look at. Let's go scroll down. So the first little bit is just like blah blah blah, Fantasy's back, which is like, yeah, great, tell us all about it. So key dates, like I've just said, it's back on February the 27th, which is next Monday. And we can straight away in this very first paragraph, very interesting actually. It says players will have until just before qualifying, which is as usual, for the pre-season opener to set their teams, or otherwise risk facing a penalty for changing their teams post-quali. Now straight away, this is like a big change that we can change our teams after the deadline. That's how I read it, right? So that's really interesting. Like the fact that there's a penalty with it is obviously important, otherwise people just be, there would be no deadline, people just change their teams willy-nilly. But it'd be interesting to see what sort of penalty that is and how severe it is. I feel like it should be quite a severe penalty to change your team post deadline and post quali, set your team up perfectly for the race. But if you have a really bad quali, like if you pick your team and it just does terribly in quali and you don't feel like you're going to have a good race, then maybe taking that penalty and just changing your team around, making a couple of subs or something might be really beneficial. So that's already straight away a first change that could be interesting. Let's keep going down. This is nothing, it's just telling everyone to watch the testing, which most of us will do anyway. New prizes, if people are interested in prizes, like the likelihood of any of us actually winning a prize is pretty minimal, because you basically have to beat like 2 million people to win any of it. But someone's going to win it, so if you're going to go for the top prize global, then you can win some cool tickets and stuff. But yeah, not so interesting for me personally, because I don't think I'm going to win the whole thing, but you never know, I'll try. That's why I'm here making videos on it. So yeah, then the next little bit, let's just read through it just to give my thoughts on it. So this year, because this is really interesting, we get the opportunity to pick 2 constructors instead of just one. Like, whoa, 2 constructors. Obviously last year, like for me personally, and I think just the general best way to play it was get the best constructor in, because they score big points. So I'd just get Red Bull or Ferrari pretty much throughout the season. Now there's 2 constructors. Now they've also, if I just carry on before I go on a bit too much about this, it says, however, this means that the pricing model will now become more compressed, with the difference in price between the most and least expensive driver and constructor set to be reduced. So rather than having, I guess, a driver that's worth like 4 or 5 million and another driver worth like 30 plus million, I guess they're just bringing everyone closer together, which is very interesting. Now that might have a knock-on effect of making those midfield picks slightly more appealing if we want to maximise maybe these 2 constructors. So say we think Ferrari and Red Bull are just going to be the best from the get-go, maybe Mercedes will take a few races to pick up and get back on, into winning ways, then maybe we want to start the season with Red Bull and Ferrari straight away and pick some more of the midfield guys to enable you to afford like these big, huge points coming in from the big, heavy hitting constructors. And also it enables you to play a different way. You can maybe have like a big constructor and then a cheaper constructor, and then again have some more midfield picks and like one premium pick or something. It all depends on exactly how the pricing is going to come out. And you could also see, I'm sure there'll be a bunch of teams that go just like cheap constructors, and that enables you to pick 5 of the best drivers most likely. My first thoughts are though that I'm probably going to try and wedge in like the heavy hitting constructors and then pick some more midfield options in my team. However, as we're going to see, that's going to be affected because now there's no turbo driver limit on the 20 million. That 20 million budget thing on who you can double the points for is now being scrapped, which I'm going to read more about in a minute. So that's a very interesting change. So this massively changes the team structure, and I think it's going to add a lot more variation to team choices, which is a great thing for the game, because last season there was quite a solid template that people generally stuck to. I know I did personally stick to the template quite a lot, and it got me a good rank, and therefore I think having this change and enabling more variation and is just a good thing for the game. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that actually comes out and plays. And another big change down here, you probably already read it, is that there will be no dynamic pricing. Like, My initial reaction is thank God. Thank God. Because, you know, all the drama that happened last season with Hackerman, and then PlayOn came in and changed all the things around. As far as I know, PlayOn are not in charge of this game anymore. They've gone off to do their own separate thing, so we'll see who the new developers are. I don't think it's been announced in here yet, but I'm sure we'll find out. But yeah, there's no dynamic pricing, and only the price changes will occur just once a week. So, you know, you don't have to. That's really good for, I guess, for engaged managers and also less engaged managers, because everyone's just going to know, like on a Monday or whatever, the prices are going to change. So, you know, you can like decide if you want to make an early substitution or not, depending on what you think the price is going to change. But it would also be interesting to see how much the prices change. Like, if there's only going to be one price change, does everyone just like jump like 2 million in price or drop 1 million in price? Like, there could be some big changes there. So after the first race in Bahrain, it'll be very interesting. I feel like we might have to make some early substitutions before those price changes, just to jump on. You know, you don't want to be left behind on the budget side of things. So very interesting. Big changes coming. It's very exciting. Another change here is that the fastest lap points are also awarded to the constructors. Now, this is another bonus towards picking, in my opinion, two of the big constructors, for example, Ferrari, Mercedes, or Red Bull, because they're very likely to pick up the fastest lap in most of the races. And therefore it's just kind of easy points for those constructors. So yeah, another kind of positive to picking big constructors. Again, it depends on the price structure. Let's move on. So power-ups. There's lots of new terminology here. There's boosters and DRS boosters, power-ups, blah blah blah. There's lots of stuff going on. So let's try and get our heads around it. So power-ups. So straight away, streaks will not be a part of F1 Fantasy this season. My initial reaction to that is, well, I like streaks. Why have you taken them away? But fair enough, they're gone apparently. But there will be other power-ups or boosters or whatever you want to call them. So let's carry on reading through just to see exactly what's going on. There will be a ×2 multiplier, which will now be referred to as the DRS boost. So this is surely replacing the turbo driver, I'd assume, the way they've worded it, or is that just a one-off thing you can do every now and again? It seems to be like replacing the turbo driver. They've just changed the terminology to DRS boost. So after spending an entire year of trying to get my head around turbo driver and mega driver and constantly getting it wrong in my videos, I'm now going to have to be like talking about DRS boosting and extra DRS boosting and power ups and boosting boosters. I'll get there. We'll be fine. So yeah, very interesting though. So there will be no cost restriction, as previously only drivers valued at 20 million and under would be given this DRS boost. So yeah, this definitely makes me think this is just replacing the turbo driver. So instead of having turbo driver, you have your DRS boost, which is interesting that they've got rid of that cap. And do I like that change? I'm not sure. I kind of like the fact because it kind of forces you to pick that cheaper option. Otherwise, I feel like most people are just going to put the DRS boosts on Max Verstappen or Charles Leclerc. That's just every week, but pretty much. I guess that's how that's going to work. But yeah, we'll see. That's kind of an interesting change. One I'm not particularly excited about. It's just like a change for change's sake almost. But there we go. And then also, again, they've changed the terminology here. The good news for all players is that boosters have been increased from 2 to 6. I'm wondering, is that replacing the terminology of chips? Because last season they were called chips. Maybe they're now called boosters. But anyway, they've gone from 2 to 6. Again, I'm not entirely convinced this is a great idea because it's going to get a bit of a headache trying to work out exactly when to pick them. I guess it does add to more variation there, and the variation is just good for the game in general. And also the wildcard remains in play, as does the Mega Driver, which is now called the Extra DRS Boost. It's probably the least imaginative name that they could have come up with, but that's what we have to deal with. Right, so let's carry on reading. So there will be some new boosters this year, which will include your team members not being able to score negative points. Like, thank God, Alonso, get in the team. Back in the team, mate, because it doesn't matter what you do to me, you can't score negative points. However, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work. I assume this is just like a one-use thing per season. It doesn't specify. And then it goes on to say, while your DRS boost will automatically be given to your drivers with the most points, I would assume this is a chip, which is now called a booster, which you can use once a season, I assume. It doesn't quite say, does it? And another introduction to this year's game is called Final Fix. And this is another interesting one. Again, the wording is interesting. Final Fix, which will allow all the players, that's us, to make one change to their team between qualifying and the race. So the way it says all the players, does this mean all the players get to choose when they use the final fix, or does the final fix just drop on a random race where all the players get to make a change? It doesn't specify, so I could interpret that however I want, really. And I would guess it means that that we as players can decide when we want to use the final fix. It's just not very clear, but it's an interesting one. They've already said earlier on in the thing up here, like what I've already mentioned, that right at the top, that you can face a penalty for changing your team post quali. So I guess you can do that on a race by race basis, but then there's a chip that stops you from paying the price of that, I guess. But yeah, it's not clear. We'll find out on Monday. Another introduction to this game, yeah, but we just read that one. The final new booster is called Limitless, and will allow you to change all your players. Oh wait, so now they're referring to players as drivers. So they're not, all the players to make one. Oh, this is very confusing. So up here they've said all the players, which makes me think they're referring to us. But then down here they've said will allow you to change all your players with no restrictions for an entire week. So that makes me think they're talking about the drivers. So they've referred to the players as us and the players as the drivers. That is not very well written out paragraph in my opinion. So it just leads to some confusion on my part, and maybe someone watching this video can help me understand this. Can anyone read English? Clearly I can't, maybe. Anyway, yeah, so the final booster is called Limitless. You can change all your drivers with no restrictions for an entire week. So I guess it's like a kind of like a wild card, like a free hit sort of thing for 1 week. Maybe it goes back to the same team you had before. I'm not really sure. It doesn't actually say that, but yeah, well, hopefully it'll be much more explicit when the rules are actually released with the game on Monday. So yeah, we'll have a look at that on the live stream when I get to that. Moving on, there's a little bit more left of this. So substitutions. Now this is another big change, because the last couple of seasons I've been playing, we've been having 3 free substitutions each race, which again reduces the variance and makes more people have kind of the same team, because with 3 changes you can change half your team. And this is and you can also carry. Oh, this is just amazing. I actually really love this change. So this season you only get 2 free substitutions each week, and you can carry over a maximum of 1 unused sub. So basically, you get 2. Pretty much always want to use one of those subs, otherwise it just burns. But you can carry 1 over, so you can have 3 for the next race, I believe. So it's important to remember these do not accumulate. There will be a maximum of 3 substitutions each week, notwithstanding the use of wildcard or limitless boosters, blah blah blah. Okay, so it's not entirely clear, but basically you get 2 free substitutions each week, which I like. And the fact that there's also now an extra slot in our teams with the double constructors, so there's more slots in our team and fewer substitutions, so it's going to be a lot tighter with making those changes. And another big thing down here is that you only get penalised 4 points for making additional substitutions. I love this change. Last season it was 10 points, and for me that was just too much. I came very close to making a -10 for an extra substitution on 1 race, and I didn't do it, and it actually ended up costing me 1 point. So it's kind of like a bit meh. Didn't really matter. But the fact that they've now reduced that to just 4 points to make additional substitutions, I love this change. I think it's a fantastic change. It enables people to take that little bit of a gamble. It gives people choice, but at a bit of a cost, and it's going to weigh up. You're going to be weighing up that cost. It's going to be a bit more gambling. And also like it's like educated gambling, if that's a thing, like making like educated guesses on whether you think it's going to be worthwhile or not. So I love that change. I love the fact that there's only going to be 2 freebies each week. And then the last thing that comes down here is badges, which are kind of like fine, yeah. So the season will also become unlock badges as you achieve various milestones. However, you should be warned that PlayOn actually are running this game. No, I'm joking. Some are easier to achieve than others, with competitors now able to earn badges for joining or creating private leagues, which, heads up, I will be doing a couple of cool leagues if people want to join. As soon as the game is released, I'll be setting them up, and you're welcome to join. We can have a little competition and create a second team, win streaks, and much more. So basically, do well, you get badges. Cool, fine. It's like a fine kind of cosmetic thing, I guess. Yeah, and then as it says, it's less than 2 weeks away. Yeah, so the game drops literally just a few days before the deadline. It's going to be a mad rush to analyze those rules and optimize the team in the last week. Like, whew, Thank God I booked off the week off work next week, because I'm going to be spending a lot of time tweaking my teams, updating the spreadsheet, blah 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 blah. So yeah, very interesting. That's the end of the article. This is all the information we have at the moment. Like I said, more information to drop, or the game itself is going to drop on the 27th of February, which is Monday. And yeah, I will be live streaming basically when the game drops. So come hang out. We'll go through the game. I'll give my initial thoughts. I'll get some teams put in there straight away. It's very exciting. I can't wait to see all the team, the constructors and driver prices. It's going to be very exciting. These new changes overall, I would say, sound really positive. There's a couple which I'm a bit like, but I really like a couple of them. Like I've already gone over, like the substitutions only reduced down to 2 freebies and enable you to, the cost of extra substitutions being cheaper is really good. Changing your team after the deadline, it's a little bit dangerous, but I feel like that's definitely an interesting change with a penalty. So overall, I think these changes are probably quite good for the game. And only one price change a week. Very interesting to see exactly how that's going to work out. People could get hit pretty hard if they're not paying attention on that Monday morning or whenever it is that the prices change. So yeah, overall, very excited, very pleased. We've finally got some information about the game. And yeah, please come join me on my live stream when the game finally drops. We'll go through, we'll make some teams, and yeah, we'll gather our thoughts, because time is of the essence when the game drops. So yeah, come join me and let's have some fun next week. I'll catch you soon. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.